Selves are the. How are we to understand what is the greatest tattva? Is there any clear way? Is there a simple answer, a single word answer that would clarify the greatest tattva? Bhagavan answers, Ahameva param tattvam. I am the greatest tattva. So, no matter how you are going to look at it, you are going to have to acknowledge Sriman Narayana as the greatest tattva. Bhagavan has revealed the truth. What is the correct darshana? Darshanam bheda evacha. Darshana in this context, we are not referring to the technical term where bheda would not be available. We are referring to that term, which is also technical, but where bheda refers to the group of schools of philosophy that differentiate jivatma from Paramatma. If I don't understand that I am not Paramatma, I will never try to attain moksha. If I think I am Paramatma, I will not want to attain anything. It means I am already in the state of moksha. I have to accept that I am not Paramatma if I want to even attempt to attain moksha. This is very important. Upayeshu prapatti syat. So, what is the best way to attain? The Vedas list a number of Brahma Vidyas. They say there are 32 Brahma Vidyas. Some scholars say there are more than 32. Why? Because there is disagreement among the scholars with regards to which 32 are the Brahma Vidyas. Brahma Vidya is basically that knowledge which teaches about Parabrahma and is of such a nature that by using Brahma Vidya, you can attain moksha. So, Brahma Vidya is nothing but moksha Vidya. It teaches you how to attain moksha, moksha prapti Vidya. Now, this kind of Vidya, if you want, you have to compulsorily resort to the Veda. No. For Bhagavad Prapti, for moksha, certain upayas are mentioned even outside the Veda. These upayas are not totally different and they are not contradictory at all to what is said in the Veda. For example, in the Agama Shastras, certain Brahma Vidyas are discussed. When we see the discussion, we realize these discussions do not come in the Veda. But the underlying principle behind them would already be present in the Veda. There are so many ways. In Krita Yuga, people performed tapasya and attained moksha. In Dwapara Yuga, they performed great yajnas and attained moksha. There are so many different paths, so many different paths. But the most practical and the most applicable, the most practical, which means the easiest, always available, and the most commonly available, a path that is open for everyone. That path is the path of prapatti. The fourth thing is about antima smriti. Should we really think towards the end of our lives, as we know that our life is leaving our body. Should we think about Bhagavan? If we forget to think about Bhagavan, will we still get moksha? We don't have to worry about that. Things will happen automatically. This is the teaching of Bhagavan. The next two questions pertain to how quickly we can attain moksha, and also one question that is very specific for Bhagavad Ramanuja himself. So, how quickly can we attain moksha? Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Bahunam janmanamante jnanavan mam prapadyate vasudevas sarvamiti samahatma sudurlabha. Bahunam janmanamante. At the end of several lives, jnanavan mam prapadyate. One jnani is created who understands Brahman. Understanding that Parabrahman and understanding the answers to the previous questions. He is Parabrahman. Who? Sriman Narayana is Parabrahman. I have to understand that I am different from him. Therefore, understanding this difference, I should want to attain him. What should I do for attaining him? Upayeshu prapatti syat. Therefore, I have to surrender to him. Bahunam janmanam ante jnanavan mam prapadyate. At the end of many, many lives, that knowledgeable person surrenders to me. Vasudeva Sarvamiti. He wants only me. He does not want anything else. Therefore, everything for him is only me. His complete focus is in me. Vasudeva Sarvamiti. Sa Mahatma. Such a kind of a knowledgeable person who also surrenders to Bhagavan and keeps his thoughts, words, and actions in a way that is aligned only towards Bhagavan. Such a person is a Mahatma. He's a very great person. Sa Mahatma, unfortunately, is Sudurlabha, is extremely difficult to find. Extremely difficult to find. This is to be understood by us because Krishna has said, Manushyanam sahasreshu kaschit yatati siddhaye yatatam api siddhanam kaschin mam vetti tatvatah. He has said, I think we have seen the shloka before. Among thousands and thousands of people, only one person, Bahunam Janmanam, Manushyanam Sahasreshu Kaschit Yatati Siddhaye. Among thousands and thousands of persons, you will have only one person even trying to attain moksha. So, we should understand how rare it is. But the path is so easy. Of course, if you are to follow the standard bhakti yoga, it is not going to be easy. Bhagavan, at the point where this shloka appears in Bhagavad Gita, is not really discussing the prapatti marga. He is not discussing the prapatti marga. He has not mentioned about absolute surrender. As a matter of fact, in the Bhagavad Gita, even the famous shloka that we celebrate as Gita Charama Shloka in Vishishtadvaita, that Sarvadharman Parityajya Mamekam Sharanam Raja Aham Tva Sarva Papebhyo Mokshayishyami Mashuchaha. Even that shloka, how are we to understand it? It is teaching about the standard Bhakti Yoga, which is, as we called before, Anga Prapatti. But as a hidden meaning, it also teaches Angi Prapatti, which is the path of Sharanagati, the path of Prapatti Yoga. So, even the shloka Sarva Dharman Parityajya is not specifically talking about Prapatti Yoga alone. It could very well be interpreted in a way that says about Bhakti Yoga, which also requires a surrender. So, which surrender is being referred to? Is Anga Prapatti being referred to or Angi Prapatti being referred to? Both possibilities are fine according to Bhagavad Ramanuja. Okay, but see, Krishna says, Aham tva sarva papebhyo mokshayishyami. Does Krishna also say in Bhagavad Gita when he is going to do that? Kada mokshayishyami? When he talked about appearing on earth, he said, Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata, abhyuttanam adharmasya tadatmanam srujamyaham. Whenever there is a harm, great harm happening to dharma, to control adharma, he indeed appears. Bhagavan has talked about when he appears, but has he talked in Bhagavad Gita about exactly when you attain moksha? He says, Sarva dharman parityajya mamekam sharanam vraja, aham tva sarva papebhyo mokshayishyami ma shuchaha. In this shloka of Bhagavad Gita, or even in the other shlokas of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is not explicitly saying the amount of time you need in order to attain moksha after surrendering to him. He said, Mamekam Sharanam Raja, you surrender to him. Aham tva sarva papebhyo mokshayishyami. How quickly? Will he grant moksha instantly? Will he grant moksha after 100 years? Will he grant moksha after 100 lives? What do we know? What is the guarantee? Depending on the Brahma Vidya we choose, we may take longer or shorter to attain moksha. But what is the minimal amount of time that we need to attain moksha? What is the minimum amount of time that we need to attain moksha? Bhagavan answers that. So, how quickly can we attain moksha? Is it instant? Does it take many janmas? Does it take many years? What is the guarantee? Bhagavan has said, Aham tva sarva papebhyo mokshayishyami. That is the guarantee. Bhagavan said, Sakrudeva prapannaya tavasmiti chayachate abhayam sarvabhutebhyo dadami etat vratam mama. That is the guarantee. He said, Etat vratam mama. He has taken a pledge and is following that way. For him, it is a practice that he is not going to move away from. So, the guarantee is given by Bhagavan himself. But what is the answer to the question? How quickly can we attain moksha? Bhagavan says that you get mukti, that is moksha, at the end of your sharira. The sharira, the human body. What is meant by the end of the human body? The end of human body means the end of the current life. So at the end of your current life, I can grant you moksha. Notice how I'm saying, I can grant you moksha. Why? Because, as we have seen in earlier classes, even if you perform Sharanagati, if it is done as Anga Prapatti, there is no guarantee that at the end of the current life, you would definitely get moksha. But in the case of Angi Prapatti, that is the Sharanagati Marga, Prapatti Marga, Upayeshu Prapatti, that Marga, when you shed your body, the first time you shed your body, you attain Bhagavan. That is the earliest, and it's a guarantee. In the case of the standard Bhakti Yoga, the same is the earliest, but it is not guaranteed. So there is a difference. If you ask Bhagavan, can you guarantee? In this case, he will say, yes, I can guarantee. This is very important for us to understand. So, Swami Deshika explains in Nyasa Dashakam very, very beautifully. In Nyasa Dashakam, which is a set of 10 shlokas about Nyasa, that is none other than Nyasa Vidya, Prapatti Yoga. Swami Deshika in that discusses about these concepts. The very first shloka, he explains how prapatti should be done. Bhagavan said, Upayeshu prapatti syat. How should I do prapatti? Aham madrakshana bharo madrakshana phalam tatha na mama shripate revetyatmanam nikshipet buddha. Bhagavan says, Aham madrakshana bharaha. Think about it this way. You say, I am your responsibility of being saved. Rakshishyatiti vishwasaha. Madrakshana phalam tatha. The phala also. The phala that you get by protecting me. That is also not mine. Na mama. So the responsibility of protecting me is not mine. The result, the fruit, punya karma of protecting me is also not mine. Na mama shripate reva. Then who does it belong to? It belongs to Shripati, Shriyapati, Sriman Narayana. So these belong to Bhagavan. By saying Na mama Shripate reva, he is reminding us of Ahameva Param Tattvam, that Sriman Narayana is only the Paratattva. Iti Atmanam Nikshipet Buddha. So the Buddha, one who knows the Tattva Jnana, one who is the Jnani, what should he do? He should surrender himself to Bhagavan. So, what about this Shariravasane Mukti? Has Deshika talked about that? Yes. Swami Deshika has indeed talked about that. He says in the fourth shloka of Nyasa Dashaka, Shriman Abhishta Varada Tvamasmi Sharanam Gataha. Shriman, O Shriman Narayana, Abhishta Varada, O giver of auspicious boons. Think about it. Who was Kanchipurna asking? Kanchipurna, the great Kanchipurna Swami, was asking Bhagavan at Kanchipuram. What is Bhagavan called at Kanchipuram? Varadaraja Swami. He is called Varada Raja. What does Varada mean? Varada means the giver of boons. Varan dadati iti Varadaha. What kind of boons does he give? Only auspicious boons. Why? Because Bhagavan is Kalyanaikatanaha. He is having only auspicious qualities. So, Shriman Nabhishta Varada, Tvamasmi Sharanam Gataha. I am surrendered to you. Etaddehavasane mam tvatpadam prapayasvayam. At the end of this body, please make me attain your divine feet. This is the shloka. Shriman Nabhishta Varada Tvamasmi Sharanam Gataha Etaddehavasane mam tvatpadam prapayasvayam. So, Shriman Nabhishta Varada, he is talking about Bhagavan. And in our context, we know that Abhishtavarada, who is that? He is there right in Kanchipura, giving answers to the questions of Bhagavad Ramanuja. Tvamasmi sharanam gataha. Yes, upayeshu prapatti syat. Etaddeha vasane mam. So, by Abhishtavarada, you know the Paratattva. By Sharanam gataha, you know prapatti. Etaddeha vasane mam. From that, what do you know? You know Sharira vasane muktihi. Tvatpadam prapayasvayam. So, at the end of this body, please take me to your lotus feet. There is some detail that we need to consider here. There are certain types of prapannas, very, very saintly beings, very, very holy beings. We should remember, first of all, that different people are of different kinds. There are several things that we are incapable of doing. We should not compete with people who are better than us. When we see people who are better than us, what should we do? We should go down to them. We should pay our respects to them. We should seek their blessings. In the Ramayana, it is said that those who are more skilled, those who are more knowledgeable, and those who are more aged, with all such people, Bhagavan Sri Rama maintained a continuous association. He would meet them even during his archery session breaks as a child. In the context of Sharanagati and Moksha, skill refers to how great the saint is, how saintly, how much they are following Anukulya Sankalpa, Pratikulya Varjanam. That is going to decide their saintliness. And on top of that, we have knowledge. How should we treat people with knowledge? We should bow down to them, take respects, pay respects, and take their blessings, and if possible, learn from them. Then there are people who are much older. When we look at such people, much more experienced than us, much more knowledgeable than us, much more superior performers than us, we learn from them. So there are such great saints, way better than us. In the case of these saints, exceptionally, they are able to get moksha whenever they want. They have the option of telling Bhagavan, I want moksha now. I want moksha tomorrow. I want moksha after 1 year. I want moksha after I finish my grahasthashrama dharma by getting my daughter married to a good person. and by ensuring that she gets married to a good person and is not going to have to worry in future. After that, you give me moksha. These saints have the ability to demand Bhagavan himself when to give moksha. But does everybody have the ability to demand? No. If I were to tell Bhagavan, give me moksha instantly, he may or may not give. Whether he gives moksha instantly or not is going to depend on whether I am qualified for it or not. Great saintly people with all of their saintly karma would be fully qualified. But people like me, ordinary people who make 100 sins every day and only one, two good things every day, that too I'm assuming one, two, I cannot even think of any good thing that I did. As those kinds of people, do we have an option for getting moksha whenever we like? We don't. So, knowing the difference, we should avoid demanding Bhagavan for giving us moksha whenever we want. We are not that great. If we think we are that great, we would have ahankara, and therefore we cannot be that great. It is even possible for such a prapanna to ask Bhagavan to grant moksha in a future life. Don't grant me moksha now. Make me take birth as a person serving your vigraha. I have anyway wasted this life. All my life I did not come to you. As the Advar says, I left the possibility of coming to you. இச்சுவை தவிர யாற்றோ இந்திர லோகம் ஆளும் அச்சுவை பெரிதும் வேண்டு அச்சுவை பெரினும் வேண்டு, he said. I don't want Indra Loka. But what did I do before? I want only moksha now. But previously, even though nothing was ever mine, I had nothing with me. We have seen this verse before, right? Urilen. Urilen kanir illai. Uravu mattoruvar illai. He says, I don't have any specific place of my own. I don't have relatives. But did I surrender to you all this while? Parilin padamulam patrilen paramamurti. And therefore, I cry. What about such people? If they are saintly enough, they can desire to have one more life, but where they would get a chance to surrender to Bhagavan and remain surrendered to Bhagavan their entire life and get moksha after that. They have the ability to ask. But do we know whether we have that qualification? We don't. We are not those special people, those enlightened people. Therefore, we will stick to what works. Bhagavan answered this question by saying Shariravasane Muktihi. Correct? Therefore, Deshika also said, Etad Dehavasane Mam. Tvatpadam Prapaya Swayam. Etad Dehavasane Mam. At the end of this body. Why at the end of this body? Because Bhagavan has declared that I will grant you moksha at the end of your body. So, end of the body, which in simple words is end of the current life. That is when Bhagavan will grant moksha. So we say, at the end of this life, please grant me moksha. Etad dehavasane mam tvatpadam prapaya swayam. You yourself have to take me to you. Bhagavan has given a guarantee. Therefore, if we say etad dehavasane, it will always work. If we say give me moksha tomorrow, give me moksha day after tomorrow, and we are not qualified enough for it, and therefore, if Bhagavan does not give us moksha whenever we want it, there is a possibility that we lose faith in Bhagavan. We lose faith in scripture. I declared my surrender to you. I wanted moksha by today morning, 6 a.m. sharp, but you did not give me. You have retained me in samsara. Why? Is prapatti shastra false? Have I fallen for a wrong shastra? Or is Bhagavan himself false? Have I fallen for the wrong deity? These kinds of doubts could come in the minds of an emotional person who has not conquered his senses. In the ideal case, we have to keep our senses well subdued. Our karmendriyas, our jnanendriyas, our manas, we have to control all of them. But in practice, we know for a fact that it does not happen so much. And therefore, there is a possibility of us already being unqualified, and on top of that, committing the sin of disbelieving in Bhagavan's words or disbelieving in Bhagavan himself. For us to be safe from these kinds of potential sins, what should we do? We should ask for moksha at the end of our current lives. Therefore, etaddeha vasane mam tvatpadam prapaya swayam should be our approach towards the attainment of moksha. This is very important. Why? Why can't he give me? If I ask that way, it means I have ahankara. He has not given. Therefore, the Shastra is wrong. That means I have avishvasa. I don't have mahavishvasa. Rakshishyati iti vishvasaha. I should have that, right? So I need to protect the core and I need to protect it well. What is the core? My travel towards moksha, which is happening not because of myself, but by the grace of Bhagavan. I have but one ability with me. What is that? The ability to ruin this opportunity. Should I exercise that ability and ruin it? Or should I let it be and move on to moksha? Because Bhagavan has said so. Remember, of course, we talk about Swanishtha, Uktinishtha, Acharya Nishtha, and Bhagavata Nishtha in this context, about which, of course, we have discussed in the previous classes. The point here is don't be overconfident. Don't be overconfident. Don't be oversmart. Be practical. Be humble. Only then can you attain moksha. Does it take many janmas? No. At the end of this body itself, etad deha avasanema, not some other body. So, at the end of the current body itself, you can get. If you are saintly enough, you can postpone it to another life or lives or whatever. But should you really do that? Is the question. Is there a guarantee of this, whatever is in front of me? Given that I am surrendering to Bhagavan, how should I understand everything? Be humble, be good, behave like a Sharanagata. Then you will not commit Bhagavad Apachara. You will not lose faith in Bhagavan. You will not commit Bhagavad Apachara. And therefore, your path towards moksha would be protected. You will not end up falling away from it by yourself. So, Shariravasane Muktihi. Why Shariravasane Muktihi? Why can't he give before Shariravasana? Is it possible for us to attain moksha even before the end of our lives? There is an answer to this question as well. As per the Shastras, we cannot enter Sri Vaikuntha without shedding our bodies. Outside of Sri Vaikuntha is a nadi that we call Viraja Nadi. That Viraja Nadi is where we end up shedding whatever body we might be having while traveling through Archiradi Marga towards moksha. We would be shedding our bodies there before entering Sri Vaikuntha, assuming Bhagavan is granting moksha to us. It is a similarity that you can see with the temple of Sri Rangam in Tamil Nadu. So in Trichy, Sri Rangam, the temple is surrounded by Kaveri on all sides. We celebrate Sri Rangam as Bhuloka Vaikuntha. And to attain that Bhuloka Vaikuntha, you have to cross the river of Kaveri. You cannot attain moksha with your human body. Why is that so? It is so because the human body is made up of three gunas, sattva guna, but also rajoguna and tamoguna, being made up of a combination of the three qualities. It is going to be incapable of experiencing the state of moksha. So, before we shed our body, we cannot experience moksha. We can expect it for short periods of time when Bhagavan desires to give us that kind of a meditation. That is great. But you cannot attain moksha, a permanent moksha, without leaving your body. So, what happens when you leave your physical body? Entering Vraja Nadi, you are leaving your physical body. How is it going to happen? Well, please remember, you are going to get a Shuddha Sattva Sharira. Because the state of moksha has only Shuddha Sattva. The path towards moksha is also called the path of removing Rajoguna and Tamoguna. The path of becoming Shuddha Sattva. The path of accepting a Shuddha Sattva body. So we need to get a Shuddha Sattva body to experience moksha. That is the reason why at least one time we have to shed our body. So let us shed our current body. Bhagavan will grant us moksha. Right? Now let us say some people perform kutarka here. People are asking, you are saying that once I surrender, moksha is for sure. Okay, what if after I surrender, I behave differently? What if after I surrender, I behave differently? Deshika has said, Etat dehavasane. I also said, Etat dehavasane. But I started committing crimes. What is Bhagavan going to do? Bhagavan will give small punishments in order to teach us to be good for the crimes that we commit. What about extreme crimes. You said, Sharirāvasāne muktihi. Therefore, can I perform Bhagavatapachara and then expect mukti? Will I still get it? No, you will not get it. Once you commit Bhagavatapachara, your prapatti stands cancelled. No, but you yourself said that I will definitely get moksha. Etaddeha vasane muktihi. You also said Antima Smriti Varjanam. That is the reason why I forgot about it altogether. But now you are digging my past and you are saying, I have committed Bhagavatapachara and therefore I cannot attain moksha. How is this fair? Well, it is 100% fair. Bhagavan does not give you the opportunity to indulge in adharma just because you have the right to do so. Bhagavan tries to stop you from doing adharma if you are his devotee. If you don't listen to him and if you commit adharma, you would definitely get some punishment, some small punishment, unless the crime is that of Bhagavatapachara, in which case you will not get moksha. So, logically, we have to shed our bodies because our bodies are not trained to enter into Vaikuntha. They are impure. Bhagavan's answer is the most logical. The final question that we are going to see is a question asked for himself. You said you are the Paratattva. You said I have to understand you as different and surrender to you. After saying that I have to surrender to you, what did you say? Where should I go? How should I surrender to you? You never answered those questions. He said, Upayeshu prapatti syat. But did he say how to perform prapatti? He did not. Prapatti, as we know, performed by Uktinishta method or Acharyanishta method is what is popular. Svanishta is rarest of the rare. We don't expect it to happen. So, Bhagavata Nishtha is something that we would go for if there is a very great Bhagavata available and we are also void of proper following of the Guru Shishya Parampara. But when you are from the Guru Shishya Parampara with an Acharya during your days, shouldn't you approach Bhagavan through that Acharya? Yes, 100% you should. So, what we are saying here is Bhagavad Ramanuja during his time. He had a number of acharyas available. Therefore, he did not have to do Svanistha. He did not have to do Bhagavata Nishtha. Who is that great acharya? Periyanambi, as he is called. Mahapurna Swami. Mahapurnam Samashrayet. So, Bhagavan said that you have to surrender to the great Mahapurna. The name Mahapurna, that title itself shows how great he was. He was full of auspicious qualities. He had already met Bhagavad Ramanuja before, correct? The only problem was by the time the two returned to Srirangam, Yamunacharya, that is Alavandar, had attained Paramapada. So, that great Mahapurna, you learn from him. What should you learn? You surrender to him. Through him, you get initiated into Vaishnavism. That initiation is very important. It is the guarantee that you are my people. In this regards, they cite multiple pramanas. One being from Harivamsha, if I'm not wrong, where Krishna talks to the Dwarapalakas of Dwaraka. He says, those who lack the Shankha Chakra symbols, do not accept them, but accept into the city those who do have. Those who do have Shankha Chakra Mudra, accept them, Bhagavan said. So, Bhagavad Ramanuja was so happy to know when Tirukachinambi told him about these things. He could have very well lived a life by showing off his scholarliness, pretending to know everything. But no, he had the genuine intention to learn, not the intention to show off, as we see on social media in so many cases today, but the genuine intention to learn. Therefore, he asked those questions. When you want to learn, where should you ask questions? You could ask anywhere, right? No, you cannot ask anywhere and everywhere. You should ask only authorities, those who have adhikara. This sounds a little inappropriate. What do you mean they are authorities? Who are these authorities? No, no, no. Authority means one who knows the theory and is also following it in practice properly. In the case of Sri Kanchipurna, who was approached by Bhagavad Ramanuja for knowledge, Kanchipurna himself, being a person who would interact with Bhagavan, he concluded that yes, it is good for him to ask these questions to Bhagavan. I will convey these questions to Bhagavan. He wants to ask Bhagavan these questions. Why? Because Bhagavan is the supreme adhikari. He is the adhikari of adhikaris. But Bhagavan speaks to me. Therefore, let me ask Bhagavan. Because Bhagavan spoke to Kanchipurna, Kanchipurna also became an adhikari. Therefore, he was also celebrated. So, who do you approach? You approach adhikaris. We see this a lot today in matters of Sanatana Dharma. People ask questions on Facebook, on Quora, on other social media platforms. They don't bother to check who is answering. What is the background of the person who is answering? Is the person answering a real scholar? Or is that just a pretentious one? Is the person answering one who has come from Guru Parampara and who has had authentic knowledge by surrendering to an authentic Guru? These questions are seldom asked, which is why lots and lots of false interpretations, false understandings keep happening all the time with regards to at least Sanatana Dharma. Therefore, when you are sick, you approach the qualified doctor. When you are hungry for knowledge, you approach the authentic school or college. In the same way, if you are hungry for Bhagavan, for attaining his lotus feet, you have to compulsorily go to the authorities, the traditional acharyas. Acharyavan Purusho Veda. It has been said, Tad Vijnanartham sa Gurumaeva abhigachet. It has been said. So many statements about the Guru have been said across the scriptures. Therefore, we should understand and bow down to the authority and surrender to them. Believe them completely, not cross question them. Oh, did Bhagavan really say this way? Are you sure? Did he say Bheda or did he say Abheda? Did he say Abheda and you heard it as Bheda? That is also a possibility, no? I just want to cross check. I just want to be sure. Did you hear him correctly? No, don't ask such questions. That is very, very inappropriate. Know them to be a guru and bow down to them. Tadvidhi pranipatena, as Bhagavan says. Pranipatena, by falling at their feet. Do that. So, Bhagavad Ramanuja, by deciding to gain knowledge, because firstly, he was humble. He did not think, I know everything. He was not the kind that Yadava Prakasha represented, at least in those days. Secondly, he approached authorities. The third is he behaved truthfully to the knowledge he received. So Bhagavan said, go surrender yourself at the feet of Periyanambi. Bhagavad Ramanuja very happily went and did that. So, believing that the whole of Vishishtadvaita itself has been explained by Bhagavan, what else is there in Vishishtadvaita? It is the same topics over and over again, different levels of depth inside the same topics. We don't really get a new topic. So he was very thankful and he approached the great Mahapurna Swami who initiated him. So with this, we would like to conclude today's lecture. If you have any question, feel free to ask. There is one question that has been asked in the chat section. What if we have doubts in our minds due to fear, even though we have faith in Bhagavan? Well, if you have 100% confidence in yourself, that would be termed as ahankara. But if you have 100% faith in Bhagavan, that would be celebrated. If you have doubts in your mind, maybe I will get moksha, maybe I will not get moksha. And that doubt is because you don't consider yourself to be the greatest. You know he is perfect, he plays by the rules, but you don't trust yourself. That's okay. Although we will have to investigate why you don't trust yourself, that is still fine. And I say it is still fine because if you are confident about yourself and then you make a sin, that particular sin of Bhagavatapachara, your Sharanagati will get cancelled. If you don't want to get that cancelled, you have to play by the rules. When you are playing by the rules, if you are scared of being punished, there is nothing wrong, at least out of fear, if you are moving in the right direction. But if you lose faith in Bhagavan himself, I have complete faith in Bhagavan, but I don't have faith in myself, that's a different case, right? But if you lose faith in Bhagavan himself, you decide to go to some other deity, maybe an imaginary one, or maybe no one, or maybe a human, or maybe you think, I don't need any deity. That is when your Sharanagati will fail. If you don't want to go to Bhagavan, how will Bhagavan be able to give you his place? As we saw earlier, Manivaraiva Shaurer Nitya Hrudyopi Jivaha. कलुषमतिरविन्दन् किङ्करत्वाधिराज्यं विधिपरिणतिभेदात् वीक्षितस्तेन काले गुरुपरिषदुपज्ञं प्राप्य गोपायते स्म. Like the Kaustubhamani that he has on his chest, that much love and affection, that is the position he is willing to give us. We should imagine that way. But if we, out of our own stupid minds, decide to go away from him, then think that is what we have been doing for Ananta Koti Janmas. That is what we have been doing for all this while. Are we going to continue to stay in the samsara sagara with adhyatmika, adi daivika, and adi bhautika dukkhas? Or are we going to move forward and attain that moksha for which we have even been created? What is the original purpose of life? It is to attain moksha. The purpose of creation is so that we could attain moksha. His compassion has no bounds. He gave us a usable body on a usable planet. He gave us an intelligent body with which we could perform prapatti and attain moksha. We should be grateful to him and try to perform that. So we are surrendering. But we have doubt. Are we going to be ruled by Bhagavan or are we going to be ruled by that doubt? That is what we should then focus on. No matter what I do, I don't have faith in myself. I don't have faith in myself. What if the Sharanagati gets cancelled? What if the Sharanagati gets cancelled? If you keep thinking every day that way, then one question that I would like to ask is your faith in doubt greater than the faith in Bhagavan? Think about it. Where should your mind be focusing? Should your mind be focusing on whether you are going to fall down from Sharanagati, or should your mind be focused on Bhagavan himself? The mind should be thinking about Bhagavan. The second it thinks about myself, I am bound because I'm thinking about myself. I'm not thinking about him. I'm automatically becoming selfish. Understanding this point, you should give greater and greater focus to Bhagavan. As you give greater focus to Bhagavan, your risk of failing in Sharanagati would automatically get minimized. I hope that answers your question. If there is any other question, please feel free to let me know. If there is no question, we will conclude the class here. Okay, there is no question. So let us conclude here. Thank you so much for attending. Shri Veeraraghavacharya Shri Vaishnava Tasya Vidyavapi Bhagavatam Dadhanam Kurvesda Hardikurum Karnakarakya Kavitarkika Simhaya Kalyana Gunashadini Srimate Venkateshaya Vedanta Gurave Namaha.
Thank you very much, Guruji. Jai Shri Ram.
Jai Shri Ram.